Today we meet with the former Binance Business Development Manager in East Africa and now Regional Manager of Trust Wallet Africa, a crypto wallet. When you first meet George, the first thing you will notice is his dress code.
Well, I'm a Pan-Africanist, all right? So that means I'm a core embedded fabric of the African concept. So whoever and however I can be, integrated with the Africanism aspect, I will definitely be part of that. So I travel a lot, right? And every time I travel around, I try my best to get to understand some culture, some traditional cultures across, and that helps me get some localized aspect of something. So, for example, when I'm in Uganda, I have an Ugandan name by the name Salongo, right? My name Ikenga, it's an Igbo name, and I was given by my Igbo friends, and I humbly and proudly take that name as part of me. So also on my attires as well, I try to adopt several attires. This is from Ghana. The necklace itself from Ghana, okay, and this was made in Kenya. This is of course Nigerian, and so there is a lot of combination of Africanism in me as well.
George is one of the leading blockchain and DeFi educators. So how does this further Pan-African interests?
Blockchain as a whole, it is bringing a lot of freedom. This is the very first time in history whereby the controllers of the intermediaries, the controllers and the gatekeepers are being challenged, right? And this challenge is coming through technology. It's not war, right? People are not going to fight, people are not going to kill each other, but it's through a technology. Personal belief, I believe very deeply that blockchain is that technology that is giving power to the people. Now, when it comes to participation, for me, I feel, you see, because you don't need to ask for any permission to open a blockchain wallet, to open a decentralized wallet, and also to participate in any of the assets therein. It is your own understanding, it is your own initiative, and if you want to make money, you can make money. If you want to build solutions, you can build without anyone asking you not to. So this first time in history kind of innovation, I believe it's that one that is going to open doors for most of the Africans across the globe, right? We don't have any reason right now to say that we were not invited, right? We cannot start talking about we were not told, right? The Berlin Conference that happened in 1895, back then to colonize Africa, Africans were not invited in that particular seat. Right, and of course the resources of Africa were shared across, and to a few, right? That is now in the history, that's in the past. But right now we don't have that reason to say we're not being invited to conversations of building new, right, or of the new revolution which is now in the technology. That's why we call blockchain, DeFi and so on, we call it the fourth industrial revolution technology, because now it's a revolution happening here, but through technology.
George Mwakisha's career in finance started when Bitcoin was being born.
That is early 2009, right? It's when I started my banking career. So I started away with Standard Chartered as a direct sales initiative. So we started, building the portfolios for the bank on liabilities and assets for the bank at the time. I also transitioned to Barclays Bank at the time. Right nowadays, it was bought, the Barclays Kenya. So I moved that to EcoBank. So EcoBank is a Pan-African bank, and it helped me, get this Pan-Africanism, and also evolve through that and worked for EcoBank for quite a while. So around during 2016, around there, or 2017, I attended a summit in Radisson Blu, right? It was in Nairobi, and the summit was talking about the future of digital banking. So there are so many technologies that are being displayed therein, and one of those technologies were, I can hardly remember if I had anything Bitcoin or blockchain, but the technology were more fintech. showing that the traditional banking actually doesn't have a space in the future, right, if it does not evolve. And there's so many technology being displayed there. And so from my own perspective, I felt like, hey, this is actually a high time for you to start thinking your career. If you're really thinking of growing your career in the traditional banking, which I didn't even think it was traditional anyway, banking career has always been held highly and people think it's one of the best careers to be in. But for me, I felt strongly that this career is coming to an end and I need to evolve fast. So I tendered my resignation in the bank, not really knowing exactly what I'm going to do, right? Just thinking that you just need to do something, but you can't do it when you are confined to this environment. So when I left banking at the time, is when I started, involving myself into conversations, trying to attend as many of these summits happening across. And that's how I come across, Bitcoin for the first time. But it wasn't so clear, or, people are talking about, you need some Bitcoin to do this. So 2017, when Bitcoin was trading around $2,500, I actually did my first purchase of Bitcoin, and I was told you need to get this Bitcoin agent. So, I could relate to an M-Pesa agent. So where are the shops? Who is selling? So I started, asking even Forex Bureau, do these guys sell Bitcoin? And it was interesting that it was not like sold on Forex bureaus and so on. One of my friends actually had left banking and started his Forex Bureau firm. I approached him and asked him, why don't you sell Bitcoin? He told me that is a Ponzi scheme. You can't do those things in a Forex bureau. So I didn't understand so much yet, but I had a lot of questions. And from there is when the Bitcoin started rising a lot in 2017. We remember it went as high as $19,500 for the very first time, and that was an all-time high at the time, and that brought a lot of hype around there. So there was a lot of Ponzi schemes also ongoing. There was a lot of hype of Bitcoin, but for me as a banker, I need to learn more about this asset. I need to learn more about this technology. So through some of these, conversations around, I remember one of the first Bitcoin meetup I attended was in Meta, right at Dusit. So that's where most of the Blockchain Association of Kenya was one of the first. It was handling a lot of these concepts of meetups. So I attended one of their meetup and I met some of the guys there. And these guys, helped me now start, learning, trying to understand this blockchain. There was a lot of ICO conversations, and I could admire the guys who was talking, right? At the time, you feel like these guys are so knowledgeable. Where was I, So that gave me a lot of push to push myself to learn more. So 2018, I can say it was my year of learning, right? I really took a lot of courses. I took a lot of online classes just to understand the deep understanding of the technology. And the reason I needed to do that so that I can now help more people understand crypto. Now, my focus here was to professionalize the industry, because there was no formal way. You see, when you're coming from a corporate environment to a wild west kind of an environment, you feel like there's a gap, right? You need things to be a bit more arranged. You need people to know, I can visit an office to get knowledge. So that was my work. I believe we had even opened offices, just to have people come to a place and we can help them understand this technology. So so that really brought a lot of interest to me, and that's how now I managed to grow my career around there.
George is one of the people in Africa who saw the opportunities crypto was offering and decided to pursue.
2018, I met some friends who came to Kenya, and they asked that we are looking at building this super huge African exchange, and we want to call this a PanAfrican Exchange. And for me, that really resonated because that's that's basically what I've been talking about Pan-Africanism. I've been talking about, I've been part of EcoBank, which is a Pan-African company, and I could relate. I understood how EcoBank was built, right? Back in 1985, EcoBank talked about building a Pan-African bank, right? By then, most of the banks were just foreign banks, Right? There was no any African bank, and any African wants to open an account with a foreign bank. There was a lot of gatekeeping at the time. So when the founders of EcoBank came together and decided, let's build a Pan-African bank, and that's how now EcoBank started becoming strong, and it had a lot of growth journey. Of course, there are many shareholders, some foreign, eventually, but it really grew to what it is right now. EcoBank, I think, is it's the second largest bank in assets, if I'm not wrong, in Africa. So I could see the vision of Cubitex. So Cubitex was the company that wanted to build this Pan-African cryptocurrency trading exchange, and I could see that dream, right, from the EcoBank eyes. And I said, I'm not going to be left behind. I agreed with the founders to work with them. And we worked very hard to build that. So Cubitex helped, bring this dream of Pan-Africanism together. Cubitex had members, not really, I can say members, but the founders and the team, in fact, let me use that team. The team was spread across Africa. So everybody, everywhere. There was guys in South Africa, in Uganda, in Ghana, in Nigeria, everywhere in Africa. At least we had some presence, right? And that vibrancy of this Pan-African exchange, it made a lot of noise, and it attracted a lot of international recognition. And some of the big companies, started wanting to partner with Cubitex as well. So I was part of that, and we really, built that particular. We had built even the first MVP was built for the prototype. We had the first trades happening and so on. And of course, later, because now Cubitex unfortunately was built during a bear market, and 2018, 2019, that was extremely very harsh bear market of I think most people were joining crypto around 2016. So that was the hardest bear market any startup could face. And being this exchange that even investment was being done in crypto, the crypto going down and so on, it really had a hit on the company. And of course, eventually, the company had to wrap it up.
After the startup he had co-founded failed, George was hired by the leading crypto exchange platform.
So after Cubitex, I think I focused more on the growth aspect as well. And I now met with Binance. So I started working for Binance as the East African regional growth manager. So of course, Binance at the time, it came at a time when crypto around 2020 was started picking up. It was the Corona crash and so on, and people were thinking like crypto is also the next big thing. And so we worked very hard to build the Binance in the region, and of course grow the ecosystem. You see, the industry now so far has grown so much. There are many people who are already in the industry right now. So being part of Binance, it really helped me, be the voice, to help bring this clean, professional, and more corporate way of dealing with crypto. And the users could feel safe, because Binance is the world's leading cryptocurrency digital asset exchange. And of course, it has put a lot of compliance measures to ensure that users feel safe. The KYC process is so thorough and so on. So it's really helped me now bring that aspect of banking into crypto.
After leaving Binance, George went ahead to be part of a crypto startup known as Trust Wallet Africa.
Being with Binance helped me get into depths of understanding the centralized finance. And Binance is a very important ecosystem. Not only Binance, but any centralized digital asset trading platform. It helps people get onboarded safely on a centralized platform, because blockchain and Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies, they tend to be so technical from the way they are presented to the normal people. Most people keep asking, do I need to be an IT to understand these things? And that's the question I actually used to get over and over and over since back when I was trying to explain Bitcoin and so on. And I realized personally, I have not really done any specific course on IT, right? But I wish I could have done that earlier. I think I could have gotten maybe a deeper kind of way to elaborate things. But the fact is that I have not been. I'm not an IT guru. I don't have any, certification on IT. So that made me realize that people, yes, feel like it's too technical already, right? It's too technical, even being explained by someone who's not technical, that they feel it's too technical. So that makes blockchain and cryptocurrency adoption a bit harder. That's a challenge for adoption already. Now, centralized finance and centralized platforms like Binance now help people get onboarded to this technology easily without really getting to that deeper explanation of the tech. But now when you now focus so much on the centralized finance, you end up missing what is happening in the decentralized finance, because centralized finance put things in order. Decentralized finance is a bit of Wild West, right? Everybody's for themselves. Yeah, you own your own keys. It's more technical. It's more of private keys, more of, all these are decentralized apps, dApps, and so on. So the conversation now shifts to now it's now decentralized, right? So how can we now explain to people? So I started having this push when I worked with Binance that I felt I'm losing out or I'm missing out on the DeFi side, right? And I felt I need or I feel the urge to get to that grip. Now, when an opportunity came to be part of Trust Wallet, I picked that quickly because I felt it is a great opportunity for me to, of course, open my gates to this DeFi side. But also, not only that, there is a bigger problem that we need to solve still in Africa. So let's take my goals back, right? My journey back to Kibitex. Why we built Kibitex at the time was because there is still a lack of voice for the African projects. There's still a lack of voice for African-founded or African-built solutions. Recently, we saw Vitalik doing an African tour. We've seen guys like Jack Dorsey, the founder of founder and former CEO of Twitter, come to Africa and invest majorly in more startups and so on. And the reason why they come in here is because they feel Africa is being left out, right? According to Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation, most of the events that are happening in Europe, Africans are not represented, or they are too expensive for Africans to show up, right? So how do we now support the African projects? Is by being here, right? By showing up here. So Kibitex was one of those companies which was meant to help build or bring these African projects to the world and help them now, get the global attention, get the global support that they're looking for, and also solve the problems globally.
DeFi comes with lots of freedoms, but also it has a couple of challenges.
In dealing with decentralized finance, well, I think there must be several, but I think one of the most challenging times in the space is on the volatility part of it, right? Whereby if maybe something happens, right, and then you realize that the assets that you're holding, the value has gone so much low, right? Now, that can be a short-term challenge, especially if maybe you're targeting to do a certain project, and you have said you're giving yourself maybe 2 years to complete that project, and you have given yourself a certain value of that amount to be in a specific maybe assets, and maybe those assets don't grow to the level that you wanted, and then they take a turn. Now, if that happens during the time of maybe whatever projects you're working on, that can be a challenging because that particular amount of assets you had have now been devalued, and now you have this project that needs to be completed within that particular period of time. So that has been a challenge because we have said we have faced some unpredicted kind of environment, because see, crypto is still new. Bitcoin, blockchain, and everything, this technology is still on its nascent stages. And being in its early stages, it means that we still have so many challenges to fight, to conquer, right? And as these challenges come, and as we keep conquering them, it's still, we need to expect so much to come in between. Now, those unpredictabilities have really, I can say they have really destroyed trust. Some people don't feel like they can trust the technology anymore. They feel like they need to be more supervision and so on. Bad actors in the game, right? Some companies falling without, all of a sudden, in just one night, realize a company just falls down like that. So all those challenges coming through in the technology.
George's career in DeFi has its moments.
It's always exciting to see people make money, right? I've seen many people change their lives, and that really humbles me. I've met many people who started with very humble beginnings, didn't even have much, right? But plugging in, getting to these products and making a living over and over, and doing things which people can see, right? Young people buying cars, young people building houses for their families and so on, and changing that lifestyle. I think it's so satisfying to me. So, because the goal at the end of the day is not really about me in any way, right? Everything basically I focus to do is because you want to help out on the other side, right? You really want to see people change their lives. You want to see people move from one point to the other, right? So that's very satisfying and helpful to me when I see that happening. And I think I've seen that happening a lot during my time with Binance, and that has given me a lot of satisfaction.
Having been in DeFi for over 6 years and working in Binance, one of the leading crypto exchange platforms, George has a piece of advice for people who want a career in DeFi.
Most people just see trading on crypto. You want to buy low, sell high, you want to make a quick buck out of these assets. I don't think that should be the focus. Yes, you can make an income out of it to earn here and there, but I think it's high time we want to dig deep and understand this technology. I want to give a big challenge to the young people, especially the youth, right? It's very important for us to really take advantage of this technology right now. Take time to understand how things work deeply. Be a builder if you can, right? There's so many courses you can take online, right? You can learn a lot of things for free right now. There's not so much of control or knowledge, so you can actually access a lot of information thanks to the internet. So by able to access this information, you can be able to learn specific things like developing solutions on the blockchain, building specific projects on the blockchain. Now, right now in the decentralized finance space, we lack developers, not only global, but African developers. We have very few African developers, and the few that are there, they're highly paid, right? Now, here is as a technology that is telling you, hey, you know what? If you focus, you have a chance of making it a kill in the next 2 years, and you'll never suffer again. Why can't we just take time and sacrifice to do that, right? If some of us didn't take bold steps back then and decided, hey, this, whatever I'm doing doesn't have a future, can I go and start new and build new? Of course, during the building stage, it's very challenging because you feel like this thing is not going anywhere. You feel like whatever you're doing doesn't have a future. There's that doubt you have on yourself that you're like, what am I doing really? Why should I keep doing this? And there are these, easy money-making approaches come in. Someone telling you, hey, there's a job for you to earn 50,000 shillings. Can you get employed here, and so on and so on? Or there's this small gig, you can do sales on the streets and earn money, right? And then you lose your focus and run for those, right? If you can focus on just take a little bit of sacrifice to yourself, focus on one thing until you're an expert on it, right? Especially now, this technology, I'm actually vouching for more of developers. I'm vouching for more of builders, people who understand the deep depths of the technology on the decentralized finance aspect, right? Not traders now, right? Trading, you can do it with an understanding of the technology itself.
Yeah.